Hello, I'm Diana Kanecki from Kanecki Art, founder and CEO, as well as founder and CEO of Kanecki Associates Inc. and DKA Strategic Planning. Today I'd like to talk about reflection of Katy Perry and with the therapist on Viceland and on Witness. I thought it was very good because many of us have our personality that when we're on stage. As Katy Perry does, and also when we're with friends, as with Catherine, and with me, basically, as to a feminine form of my given name when I'm with friends. Um, like Katy Perry, when I'm with friends, I don't always dress the way people see me as a former model or as a CEO or as or even as a doll. I mean, when I'm with friends. This is not done as a shock value as in the Talking Heads video Wild Wild Life. This is when I'm with friends, I'm actually more like this. Like Katy Perry, short hair. I do have long hair at the ponytail, and also in casual clothes. Part of the reason is because um, if you have friends or someone has friends that always expect you to be on, always expect you to dress as a California girl when you meet them, or with me as a fashion model or a doll, those are the type of friends that can drive someone 6 feet under, either by drugs, alcohol, suicide, whatever, and also lead to depression. Um, and also like Katy Perry when well and Catherine when she's in her private moments or with friends, I have people call me by my feminine version of my given name, and this and when they need to talk with me seriously as well too. However, I have been open to share it because in the Midwest. There still exists many therapists who are who overqualify themselves and think that they're actually controlling deviant behavior, and it's not deviant behavior. And they lack humanities skills, even though they have the medical skill, they lack the skill in humanities. The therapist Katy Perry talked with had humanities skills and also realized it wasn't a case of treating deviant behavior, and also didn't advertise. So if therapists advertise this and someone wishes to do what Katy Perry did, please be careful. Um, that person will eat you alive. Um, but if you can find one like what Katy Perry did, that is good on that. But the thing is, um, when people see me and when I'm at rest or during nighttime, I just have this, or sometimes at night, depending on when I'm resting, I'll have my hair out a little bit and just have my rubber band on my third finger. Um, Part of the reason is because I was engaged at one time, and I did have signed partnership papers with a person I love, Sandy, who passed away in 2012 from cancer. Um, One thought though, which is interesting though, in the Midwest, I mean, um, the issue that still exists with many famous people is, as Catherine mentioned, Katy Perry. Is that um, people still expect people to be more on than and not given private time or glow privately as themselves. And for example, like when I ran for mayor of Kenosha, I was interviewed, and they one question came up that many people who go in politics and who are transsexual sometimes dread. I didn't. But the question was, what was your given name? and I gave my given name. Some people saw that, thought that's great. Also they realized that other people realized that someone was trying to marginalize me, like calling me the transgender male candidate, but not really. But the thing is, um, another group of people thought, well, oh, well, now we know his secret. No, it never was a secret. I mean, like most people who go through the process, there was a notice filed in the paper before the name change child. There was, and also I notified my employers far ahead of time at the time that I was going to be um, changing my gender and working under my new name. And it's interesting because something about me is that I'm not really I'm liberal socially, but I am conservative in other matters. So it's almost like what Gordon, who's a former minister of the UK Exchequer, said on CNN a few days ago that the British Conservative Party was the first party to allow same-sex marriage and vote for same-sex marriage ahead of Labour and the Social Democrats. And so, I mean, I worked for very conservative organizations, and when I told them my decision, some people think, oh, well, you got backlash. No, the first thing I got from the Wisconsin Republican Party was, congratulations, we're glad you're able to come out of your shell and you're able to meet people. Because if I still was trying to even do the other personality, the other side where I was hiding, I would be afraid to speak now, afraid to speak with people, afraid to meet with people. And also when I work for Infogard too as well. Um, the thing is, people should be able to be themselves, and also there has to be moments where people, as Katy Perry mentioned, that you Katy Perry can't always be Katy Perry. No one can always be on. You're gonna if they do that, they're gonna have a very short life. They're gonna have a very hard life. Um, and also, people need to understand when people are not in their on periods. Like when I'm at night with close friends, talking, watching a movie, watching a DVD. Recently, this is about the 130th day in shelter. First was Women Children's Horizons because I was escaping domestic abuse. Then the INS program. That's But when I came down and was watching TV or watching DVDs, I was pretty much like this. I didn't have my wig on. I didn't have the makeup. I didn't have the eyeshadow. And also, I stopped learning to dress like a doll too. Because the issue is when someone is on, or like what Katy Perry and mentioned when also being also as moments of Catherine, you don't always want you don't always want to have to go and visit friends wearing the California girl video outfit. I mean, I love to wear it and I love to wear it times, but if that's the only place someone will ever visit with me or talk with me, there's something wrong. I should be able to come casually, just like Catherine comes casually when she probably visits her friends too. But the thing is, um, we have to remember that even people who are leaders, movers and shakers, and transform people, even Steve Jobs, I'm sure that he had private moments where he wasn't beyond Steve Jobs either. I mean, and like Belinda Carlisle, she had private moments too. Many people who are leaders and shakers also their health is not always perfect. I mean, we have issues of depression, we have issues of migraines, and sometimes we need quiet moments and private moments alone. Um, and there's some places we may go to, like Barnes and Noble, or Starbucks, or certain McDonald's, where they know that they realize when we're in that space when we need a private moment, but we just need to get out from where we are. They realize that. or the other times when we are there and we want to talk with people, that too. Um, but some people are like the paparazzi, because I didn't realize when I had my interview and ran from here, Kenosha does have a paparazzi just as much as LA does. And um, at first it was a little shocking, because when I went in the grocery store and bought stuff, it's like, oh, she's eating cheese again, or she's eating a banana again, or something. It's like everything I bought was watched, and it was, at first it was scary, but in a way it's comical. But now, I mean, it's now I understand why people in LA, especially talk about paparazzi, because when they don't give you space at any time, no, that's cruelty. I mean, you you want to put someone under the microscope all the time. Would they want to live under the microscope all the time and say, well, we have to do it because we get paid money to survive? No, that's not justification. That's not justification for being inhuman and being cruel. There are other ways to make money, and also there are other moments that a person can have let someone have a private time. I mean, if the paparazzi really wants to improve themselves, the first thing what they should do is basically there should be a set time that there are no pictures taking, no hidden microphones, no interviews or anything. And like my private time basically is mostly from um, 7 o'clock at night to about 7 in the morning, or about 9 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes earlier, sometimes as early as 5 o'clock. And on the weekends, basically Saturdays and Sundays, and Sundays. I mean, there. And the thing is, as as was mentioned in the witness video with Katy Perry, it's important that someone can be themselves and not always on. Another point is, some people, since I came back to Kenosha from Evanston, when I came back leaving domestic abuse, my clothes were held hostage. So all my special occasion dresses, my summer dresses, my skirts, everything else. So some of the clothes most of the clothes I got were donated. This is a top I still had that wasn't captured, held hostage in Evanston. This is something I bought from Sears. And um, the thing is, the other thing is people say, well, oh, she doesn't wear dresses or skirts anymore. She doesn't wear tights anymore. I mean, like the tights Katy Perry wore in California Girl. I actually had a pair like that I ordered from WeLoveColors.com, and I still would love to get the outfit Katy Perry wore in California Girls, because I still think it's a cute outfit, for certain occasions at times and other things in that. Although I'm a plus size, I still think it'll look good on me though. The thing is, a question that came out about when I used to wear dresses quite a bit when I first transitioned. I was at open mic, and a few friends would comment saying, well, these are nice dresses. This is nice. They liked black dress that's still held hostage in Evanston. But one thing, another group of friends came up and talked with me, and it was a joint open mic, and I could tell basically that it was very important to them, because they did address me by my given name, and actually by my film version of my given name, because I share that with close friends and people I love. I don't share publicly because there's still some aspects of social media that really need to be addressed as shaming, humiliation, bullying, and it really needs to be addressed at a legal issue and a police issue, because I'm reluctant to say about policing the internet, but the thing is, like Infogard mentions, when it comes to someone getting hurt, yes, then something has to be done. And I am part of the cybercop group that actually watches the internet. But getting back to the point about when I used to wear dresses more often, I had a few friends. They came up to me and they said, "Well, Diane, we liked your open mic presentation, and we liked that your fashion sense, but please, we want to mention something to you because we know you're trying to come on, you're trying to express yourself after years of hiding, and they came up to us, and one person made the point. She said, "Well, I was raised in California um, during the early '60s, and I was raised in a church school, and the thing is, at our church school, we had to wear dresses. I wasn't allowed to wear pants or jeans until my senior year of high school, and for all of us, it was the dress was more of a forced conformity than anything else." And she said, all of us will respect you for coming out, respect you for being you, but if you're always going to wear dresses, we're going to have to say something because we don't want to go back to that period where we all have to wear dresses because just to fit in. And that's that's part of the reason why I changed my outfits to not always wearing dresses, to wearing more leggings, crop shorts, pants, and also not always dressing as a doll, because I didn't realize it myself, but I was perpetuating a stereotype when I was coming out, and I thought, well, and that gave me the courage to stop. Again, it's like basically going from being on to being who I am basically when I'm with friends and close friends. And that another thing that happened too is when I started to do that, whenever you start to change, there is going to be a backlash. I mean, it's like in Pleasantville when the characters started to change Pleasantville, where people, instead of seeing black and white, they actually saw color, things in color, and they actually, instead of books being blank pages, they actually had a storyline and ideas. Um, well, some in the city council said, okay, well, let's make a policy we mutually get along with each other. Well, mutually getting along with each other meant following their rules, not excluding everyone else. So what happens is people who saw in color were referred to as a racist term, and also in addition, people who had color, buildings in color, the windows were smashed, and at one point it came out to, well, someone was going to play a song on the jukebox, and the jukebox is where a bunch of records were existed, 45 records, and you played them. It's like an MP4 of today. And the thing is, one person, we can't do that. That's not part of the rules. And the other person, Toby McGuire's character, said, of course we can. And that was where they decided if getting along means having to sacrifice yourself completely to a tyrannical set of conformity. No, that's so. At one point, there's a trial, and what happened is the judge in trial, he was still in black and white, as TV black and white, and told me what Byers Kill was in color, as we are now. And he said, well, you actually have color inside you too, but you're afraid to express it. And he says, no, I don't. He says, I'm just not a freak as you are. And so Toby McGuire, eventually he got him to express it. When he did, everyone in the community who were afraid to come out and express did express. And when the community did see things other than black and white, they realized that Main Street doesn't always go to Elm Street. That wasn't the only route. There's another city, there's a university, there's another world way outside there. The point is, as what Katy Perry mentioned in or Catherine, is that I'll say Catherine from now on when referring to the video, to the witness video, is that there are moments that we can't always be on, and the thing is, some people expect us always to be on because they need us for leadership, which I'm glad to do. When Katy Perry's on stage, I'm sure she's glad to do. The thing is, however, we also need our private moments too. Being Catherine, being being me as well. And the thing is, what we need to do really is people need to understand that because um, no one can be completely on all the time. It's like asking a set of troops in battle saying, you always have to be battle ready, always have to be. No commander does that because if they have the troops on permanent battle alert all the time, they're gonna get burnt out. They're not gonna be able to do the mission because the enemy will use that example to try to burn them out. Just to give you the last example, um, like some people say, well, oh, she's changing back because she's not wearing dresses or she's not wearing as much makeup. No, I'm not changing back. I'm not going back to hiding again, hiding my gender identity and hiding my true gender. No, but I'm not going to be dressed as a doll. And also, friends in the theater department of Parkside finally helped to get the final push when I was getting back to getting pushback from not wearing dresses all the time. Because in the theater department, I met people who were open and they accepted me and the thing is what was nice though is the first question and even the second question was, well, were you once a guy? I was glad that wasn't the first question. And that's even the same like when I'm dating. If someone asks me when I'm dating, oh, do you believe in God? I'll answer that question when I'm dating someone, but not as the first question and not as the second question. Because if it's the first or second question, then I know it's someone who has another agenda. It's not an agenda of relationship. It's an agenda of being like the paparazzi, digging and trying to make up that they're finding something secret or something like this. However, like getting back to the dresses issue, uh, a few friends of mine, I took a theater class on a survey of historic costume, and a few friends of mine, they sort of encouraged me. So look, you don't always have to dress up. You can just come as you are. So I did. And then what happens? I showed them one outfit I wore when I went to Florida, which was an orange floral mini skirt, tights, and orange top. When I went to Milwaukee, the TSA guys called me the tall cheerleader because I had great booties as well. Yeah, but when I went on the plane, I had a great time. Two other women I sat with, we joked and laughed, and the flight attendant he said, "It's wonderful to see people talking and laughing and everything else." And when I got to Orlando, I had used the restroom, and the thing is, one restroom was full, and one said, "Well, dear, let's go. There's another restroom down here. Let's go this way." So, and that was when I first discovered it is basically when someone likes you, they'll like you for who you are. They're not going to like you because you're on. They're not going to like you because you're off, or as in case of being Catherine or being Katy Perry, or that, or me being Diana, or in my private casual hours. The thing is, um, with the dress issue, a friend of mine, I didn't realize at first, but she did it in a way that's very subtle, but not as direct, but it was not attacking. So I didn't put up a defense, and it was like, well, basically we had quizzes in the class, and one question on quiz I didn't realize at first is asked in a very conservative manner, and the question was, men have always worn dresses throughout history, yes or no? Very conservative. There's no middle ground. There's no well maybe or it's yes or no. And if and I'll give you a moment to think about it. Well, okay, now think about what your answer is, and I'll tell you what the correct answer really is. The correct answer is yes. And so what happens? There's another quiz. The same question. Men have always worn dresses, yes or no? Well, I didn't realize that the question had been repeated again. And then there's a third quiz, and again, men have always worn dresses. Then I caught it, wait, there's a pattern here. And then I finally realized that it was you don't necessarily define yourself or your gender identity just because you wear a dress, just because you wear a skirt. It's um, it's also other things in how you conduct yourself and how you present yourself and how you're perceived by others. But mostly, it's how you perceive yourself and how you wish others to perceive you as well. Um, in some cases, like when I realized that, I realized the thing about what I've been told, what I was shared with an open mic a few years ago, finally, and that also gave me courage to also go against the haters that said, "Oh, she's changing back. Oh, she's flip flopping. She's doing this and this." No, I'm not. I'm still me. But I am not going to be um, completely on all the time when I go out, and I'm not going to be completely on just for someone to say, well, you're not a woman unless you wear a wig, or you're not a woman unless you wear a dress, or I mean, I've run into some people, even in a liberal area as Evanston, who are highly closeted, like some one person I stayed with. Who was highly closeted. He thought, well, okay, transgender is something new. No, it's not. But he thought, well, gay was something that always existed. No, lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and questioning have always existed through history. There have been many leaders who have been transgender, and many leaders who have been LGBT as well. The, but the thing is, for him, it was like if I wore the wig, I was treated better. If I didn't wear the wig, I went through out of control. Um, and that's what I noticed that existed in North Shore. LGBT was, and is similar to what in the Midwest is. LGBT is accepted as long as it's kept hidden, and it shouldn't be hidden. Um, what I was glad to see during the day of the National Women's March, before I left Evanston, was there two young women who definitely partners, and they were able to walk down Orrington Avenue, which is the main avenue in Evanston, hand in hand, and that was great to see. And no one was accosting, no one was making weird looks or anything else And even the Evanston Fire Department wasn't making weird comments because there were a few that did make weird comments when I would shop at Jewel, and I literally wake up crying because of it. And that made me wonder about what type of community that is for the fire department and rescue wasn't trained to deal with LGBT people or even a certain hospital. We said, what is she underneath? No, if you're a medical professional and you're a professional of any type, that just disqualified you as a professional because that means the person that you're about ready to treat, you have a secret agenda and you shouldn't be working in that field. And I hope that the Evanston Fire Department has had some LGBT training as well as St. Francis Hospital in Evanston too, because Kenosha Memorial Hospital has had, I'm sorry, St. Catherine's Hospital in Kenosha has had LGBT training as well as Aurora, which is where most people go, and most women who go through domestic abuse either go to St. Catherine's or Aurora because they have training. Aurora has full training of full facilities. I still would not recommend KMH because they still have people there who don't have the full training and still think of people as LGBT or people of domestic abuse. Some people get the feeling that they suspect that they think of them as as blaming the victim. So, but the point is about with the question regarding the question about have men always worn dresses, yes or no? Well, the reason why I was glad a friend of mine did this is because she helped me break past one last terror barrier, and that was basically to be my gender identity. I always don't have to wear dresses. I always don't have to wear very sexy, seductive outfits. And I can just, and I also I don't have to speak in a very high voice to make sure that someone understands that I am a woman. No, I can speak in my natural voice. I don't have to speak in a very high soprano or anything or a very high voice to get people to listen to me. Um, Now the thing is, um, lastly, in the Midwest, there still exists, even in Chicago North Shore too, which is like Evanston, Niles, Skokie, Wilmette, where there are people who are very successful, have a lot of wealth. There still exists this very backwards attitude that LGBT should be closeted and children should not be exposed to LGBT. It's almost like the same policy that exists in Putin's Russia, where LGBT can't be exposed to children or until they're adulthood. Um, the point is though, um, people who are in the Midwest in those areas, when they transition, it's almost like a medieval practice. They can be accepted as a gender that they have and that they transition to, as long as they're highly liberal, or follow whatever the current machine party is that exists. But they cannot acknowledge other people who are openly LGBT, as I am, and and also the people who are openly can't always has to make sure that they make sure that they address them, so that they, if they're in a group where the person's going to feel uncomfortable if they talk with them, it's almost like they have to keep a separate distance. Um, it shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have to be medieval um, where someone is declared a heretic, and where someone who transitions is thought of as a heretic, and those who have transitioned but can mix in with the non-heretics can't acknowledge their friends. I mean, that was like an old Star Trek episode where they went back to a civilization that retreated in time, and they went back to the 17th century. The one person who had been converted to live in the 17th century from the future said, "Well, I can disprove all your charges. I can do this and this, but you can never talk with your friends or colleagues ever again." Um, and I mean, and even that was back in 1969. That was even considered backwards, and that was where um, the best thing is, even in '88 when New Star Trek came out, Next Generation, the first thing is acknowledging your own history. I mean, everyone has a history. I mean, and some people will try to tag people because they're this, or they're not on, or they're not on at that moment, or they may have depression, they may have migraines. Okay, well, fine. Everyone has a history. I have moments. Sometimes I get depressed. I have moments. I have migraines too. And but that's also the reason why sometimes I can't go in large groups or even go to a bar, because sometimes if it's too loud, it will aggravate my migraines. And also there's some moments where I need a quiet time as well. Not always under the microscope, not always in the fishbowl, not always with highly ringing phones all the time. And everyone else needs that too. You can't always be on. But the thing is, if someone is working in an environment where everyone is trying to climb the corporate ladder and feels that they have to climb by eating someone when they're not on or something, really, is that a way to live? No, for me it's not. That's why I made the decision in '93, not to follow that lifestyle, and my parents were glad I did, and we talked about it, and the only thing what my mother later said a few years after my dad died, she said, "You told us about, you know, your feelings about, wanting to transition fully in the '90s. Says, I wish um, you and your dad would have spoke with me more, because I would have wished you would have done it sooner, because I saw how much you were afraid to talk with people, how shy you were, how much you were hiding behind the computer." And she said that now that I know, I've always approved it, and my I knew, and Grandma knew as well, and we just felt bad that you did. And that something else I found out, even a few years ago from some people who knew me in high school. They've always said, well, now that we understand what she was going through, we can understand why she was so aloof in high school, because it was very hard for her, because she was had to put on this persona of of uh, of being a geeky guy and doing this and this and this, and and it was a case of falling out of character. If she fell out of character once, she would be swallowed up. And so friends of mine in high school, they went to high school, finally realized that. Also, they also realized why that I don't go out to bars too much either, because it's not that I don't want to socialize. I love to socialize with people, I love to meet with people. However, the reason why I don't is because when I went to high school, the drinking age was 18. Um, there were many good friends that got hurt because they didn't know how to drink properly, and also there's some that I was able to help with 2 a.m. phone calls in the morning. And even with the good friend, um, she's liberal, and she respects me that I'm a Republican, moderate Republican. And it's not that I don't want to go out to bars with her. It's just the problem is when friends want, or so-called friends want someone to go out to a bar, and they want to get them real drunk so they can find out their inner secrets, and also get them high, and then that's bad enough. But then when they do that and they don't even escort them to the door, you wouldn't believe how many nights I prayed to God that one friend got home safe and didn't hurt herself. But the problem was at that time the way I had to cope was 5 quarts of ice cream over the weekend, a bag of Oreos, um, three large pizzas, and my weight went up to over 300 pounds again. I'm down now to about 255. But the thing is, we're still friends, but I mean, um, but we still need to have this talk though. That because I mean, I when friends try to get you to go out and get very drunk or very high at the same time, but they're not very drunk or very high themselves. Um, those aren't friends. That's someone who's trying to take advantage of you. Um, and everyone has a right to choose who they choose as friends. But when I see that, I mean, I care for people and I care for the one person. But I don't want to receive a phone call night saying, well, from the hospital saying, well, are you such and such? You're listed. Can you please come down and identify this person? I don't want to. I don't want. I I hope I never have to get that phone call. But the problem is Kenosha is a city that has as many churches as bars, and the problem is that culture still exists and needs to be addressed. And this goes into the talk about whether about being on all the time or being off, as Catherine mentioned in a video with on Witness and that, and also being off doesn't always mean that basically you're very solemn and depressed, or it means basically just um, coming as you are, coming casually, like what she did. She did a different hairstyle, like I did. I sometimes I have it long, sometimes I have it short. Sometimes I have it like this at night, and sometimes I have it in a ponytail. As most friends of mine sort of like that. But the thing is, if I still were to go out like this, now it wouldn't be as much of an issue. But the thing is, when someone first transitions, it is because the thing is, in certain cases in the Midwest, they make it very hard um, because they don't have therapists. They have therapists who have overqualified themselves. They don't understand, and they still think of people transitioning as deviants. They're not deviants. And part of this is due to medical education that's now based on U.S. and EU medical standards. I was fortunate to have a doctor who was trained on EU standards in Scotland. Um, but there have been other doctors who've been trained in other countries, as India and Pakistan, who have their training has been very. They overqualified themselves, and they still think of it as deviant, and it's not. So I mean, there has to be a protocol where basically, if someone's going to work with people who are LGBT, they have to be trained on EU and American standards, North American standards, as well as South American standards, because those are the most up to date, and those are ones that recognize that basically gender is not binary, and that someone who is female as me also will have what some haters will say some male tendencies. Yes, I believe in leadership. Yes, I believe in helping. Yes, I believe in starting my own business. No, I don't believe in being submissive, and no, I don't believe in basically being completely um, dominated by someone else. I believe a relationship is an equal relationship. We both support each other. We both help each other. So, well, let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at Diana18, and I prefer to receive responses by Twitter. Talk with you soon.